Hello and welcome, everyone, to Good Old Rocky Talk, a Vol Society podcast. I'm your host, Brad, here with my partners, the Davids. We're glad you're listening wherever you are. This is Good Old Rocky Talk. Welcome back to episode 8 of Good Old Rocky Talk. I am your host, Brad Frank. Along with my partner tonight, David Morrison. David D's is out tonight. David Morrison, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good for the most part. I mean, not the result we want, but we'll talk about it. But, you know, still trying to be positive in all things.
Well, I hear you, buddy. So on tonight's show, if you're listening, we're gonna keep this condensed tonight. Usually our shows, I'd say they last about an hour every week. We're probably gonna keep this about a 30-minute show tonight, and the reason why, one, we have David Dees who's out, so it's just the two of us tonight. But more importantly, you know, we really want to focus and kind of discuss what we saw in Saturday's game against Bama. Now, we're 3 days, when you're listening to this, we're 3 days in after this Tennessee-Bama game, in which we all know by now that Bama won 34-20. And I must say, Morrison, this one hurt, buddy. And not because we simply lost the game, rather how we lost the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, going back to Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium, I mean, the first half, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better first half. I love what Tennessee did with Joe Milton, how they executed him. They started out with that option run and just looking really good on the day. And then Milton was hitting his passes. I think he hit his first 7-8 passes in a row. Just got to a good rhythm. And I think you can kind of see some of the woes a little bit in the first half, especially in the first quarter, getting them field goals, kind of struggling in the red zone. But, you know, you're feeling very confident. And then right before the half, you got that touchdown to McCallum Castles, and that really was just a huge momentum going into the half. And, of course, I should go back to the first quarter with Squirrel White with that diving catch that really set the tone.
Oh, my God. Buddy.
Great catch.
Let me tell you right now. Well, first of all, just to make it official, I know we've already started talking about the game, but let's go ahead and go to our first segment officially with the transition theme. Let's do that real quick. Recapping Tennessee, Bama. All right. So, yeah, let's continue where we were. Morrison, you brought up a good point. I do want to mention this, and I think it's very important to mention this. And here's what's so sad, that this scenario that we're mentioning with Squirrel White and that catch in the end zone in the first quarter is, in my opinion, not getting the attention it deserves simply because we lost the game. And I think that's such a shame, because I'm going to be honest with you. I've watched a lot of football in my lifetime. I can honestly say that that might be one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. Do you understand that? And it was an okay throw. Don't get me wrong. No, it was definitely a good throw by Milton. I mean, it was still, you know, a reach for Squirrel. And this is where it comes into play. This guy, I watched this on replay, and I'm sure a lot of you did many times. Buddy, this guy reached out as far as he possibly could and caught the ball with his fingers and was able to bring the ball and tuck it in and get his foot down for a touchdown. Guys, I'm telling you right now, that's one of the greatest athletic plays I've ever seen.
And keep in
Yeah.
mind, Squirrel White is not a 6'4", 6'5" receiver,
No.
220 pounds.
No.
He's 5'10", 165 pounds.
He's a
And
special guy, though. Man.
oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, he's from Birmingham, so coming back to his home state,
Yeah.
playing, and I mean, he really balled out. He had a great game.
He did.
Uh, uh, I mean, 10 catches, 111 yards on the day, 1 touchdown. Of course, obviously, we just talked about. So nice homecoming for Squirrel White. I know.
I'll give it up
Obviously,
to
he
you,
wants to get the win.
Squirrel. I'm speaking to you only right now, Squirrel. Great game. I can't say the rest for the team and the coaches. We're going to get into that in a second. But Squirrel White, fantastic job, my man. If you're listening to this, well done. And you had possibly one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. And of course, ESPN and all these, they don't even mention it because, that's why I say I hate that we lost the game, because I feel like if you win that game, for whatever reason, it would have got the publicity that it deserved, and it didn't. I mean, I'm telling you, this was the greatest catch I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
Our buddy Carlos has already got a Spanish call of that touchdown.
I saw that. Carlos. Vamos Vols. This guy, yeah, if you haven't seen that, go check it out on online. He did that call in Spanish, and of course, as usual, amazing. We love that guy. He's a great guy. But Morrison, let's dissect this. I mean, God, there's so much I want to talk about, but that's why we're keeping this to a 30-minute show, just so that we can talk mostly about this game. We're not taking questions tonight or anything like that. We'll hopefully have, a normal schedule next week, but this was a really big deal. A really big loss, in my opinion. And, and like I said, it wasn't really because we lost the game. I mean, I don't care to lose to Bama, if they're the better team and all that good stuff, because it's Bama. I mean, it's hard to beat Bama, especially at Bama. But again, it's how we lost the game. So, first half, we end the first half, Morrison, 20-7. Hey, and you know what's crazy? We should be up by even more than that. We had to settle for field goals, which is what's crazy. But you know what? I said to myself, okay, no big deal. We're still up 20-7. I am just elated. I am so excited, very happy to be in this position. I couldn't be more happy. I was so proud of these guys. It was an incredible first half, right?
Yeah, incredible first half. I mean,
it was incredible.
Talked about just they had a great game plan right in the first half. Changed it up, different from what we're normally seeing. Executing the strengths, kind of hiding the weaknesses in that first half, and then the narrative change. And even defensively, getting to Jalen Milroe, Alabama turned their ball over.
Yeah.
Deep in their own territory, which automatically put us in the red zone. And I would love to have that touchdown right at the end of the first quarter, but still, you still rely on Charles Campbell, and he's been, mostly accurate all year kicking the ball. So, not much you could say about that.
And here's the thing, and I've talked a lot about Joe Milton this year, and how he's, we all know he's no Hendon Hooker. I understand that. I don't want to compare him to Hendon Hooker or anything. But we all know how I kind of feel about Joe Milton. Love him as a guy, but as a player, we talked about it last week, right? Some of that football IQ is just missing. It's not there. It's not all put together in game situations. But here's what I'm going to say. That first half, man, I was proud of everyone, including Joe Milton. I mean, I thought everyone played good, solid football for the most part. And I was, again, that's the only word I know how to use right now, is I was proud. I was proud of this team. We're at Bama in Tuscaloosa, and we're winning 20-7. We're dominating that game. You know what I'm saying? And then let's go to the second half. All right. And I want you to give stats and all that, Morrison. What in the world happened? They win the game 34-20. That means we didn't score a single lick after halftime. And we let them put up 34. Hey, Again, if we lose, that's one thing. It's how you lose is another. What happened, Morrison? What happened?
Well, to me, in the second half, it comes down to just totally going back to completely going to 180 and completely changing what we were doing so great in the first half. And, just we went away from that option run, giving Joe Milton, feeling comfortable going to his passes, doing his reads. Just went back to kind of the old same Tennessee team and overthinking our plays, overthinking.
Now, Morrison,
Yeah.
I agree with you. We did do that. Here's my question. And here's the questions I would love to ask our coaches, our OC and Heupel and all these guys. Why? Why did we go away from that? Why, Morrison? Do you have any logical reason why we would do that?
I have no idea. I don't know if they just felt comfortable with that halftime lead and thinking, well, we can just kind of now normally run our offense. Alabama doesn't have an answer, which
if that's their answer, they shouldn't be coaching at the University of Tennessee, because it doesn't take a genius to know you can't let up on anyone, especially Bama at Bama.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like, what other reason would there be? Why would you? I don't understand it. Bama makes adjustments and we do nothing.
I know it. I mean, you're not playing South Alabama or UAB. This is the University of Alabama, who has the most national championships in the SEC.
Right.
I mean, and Nick Saban is a 7-time champion. He's been in games like this before. So this whole second half, it just really imploded, and we were trying to run the ball and couldn't do really anything. Dylan Sampson, we love Dylan Sampson, but, he got a few runs, but Small couldn't really do anything. Jalen Wright was just completely just manhandled in the second half. And then the inaccuracy of Milton. And then, the two things that I got real frustrated with, and I'll get to one of them, I think is the obvious one a lot of fans are talking about, but the one I get frustrated with is that 4th and 1 on our own 30 where we're going for it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this right now, actually.
Okay.
Let me tell you right now, Morrison, I am all for going for it on 4th down. It's great. I have no problem with that. But I got to ask you a question. Why? And you know what? We're not the only team doing this. You're seeing a lot of teams in college football doing this lately on 4th and 1s. Whatever happened just with the QB sneak and the push? Philadelphia Eagles, they're really good at this. If you saw last night, man, they just quarterback, they just put what do they call it? Like they have a name for it. They just
they kind of nicknamed it the Bush push.
Was it the Bush? Yeah.
There's another name like Tush Push or something like that. But
Tush Push. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, like, what is this shotgun crap that we're running? It is a fail before you even hike the ball.
I know it.
What are we doing? And listen, I'm not trying to sit here and say, fired, our coaches and all that. No, they're great coaches, but they're not doing great things at certain times. And I'm clueless why this is. Like, that is stupid. That's a bonehead play. And we did it multiple times.
I know it. I don't get it either. You got Joe Milton, who's 6'6", 245 pounds. You cannot tell me one of them linemen or somebody can open a hole or even our running backs kind of push them. I don't. It's
so the question is what?
Yeah.
Why? We have to. The question is why, and you're not going to get an answer from these guys. Coach and all. They're not going to answer that. They're going to beat around the bush and give you a coach's answer to the media. But my head is I'm trying to logically understand this. And I can't even think of a single thing. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is, do they just not trust Milton to hold the ball and run it up the gut? I don't. Why else would you not do it?
Yeah, you see it all levels. You see it in college. You see it in the NFL.
Yes.
My Titans do the exact same thing.
Yes.
With Derrick Henry, 255 pounds of him, but We go
Yeah.
shotgun with Ryan Tannehill, and it's the same thing. I see it with Joe Milton. Put Joe Milton or put one of the running back. I mean, it doesn't take much, but I think the analytics of football, people overanalyze it and want to be all creative and try to be smarter than the other coach. But keep it simple. Okay, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's
It's that blunt.
it's baffling to me. So here's the thing, guys. Based on what you're hearing right now, you already know one of the reasons that I'm about to ask. Why did we lose that game? That's the important question. And we actually polled on our Facebook page, Vol Society. So if you're listening, go to Vol Society and follow us, VOL Society. And we had hundreds of responses, hundreds. And I'll tell you the most common that I saw, and bingo, you probably already guessed it because we're sitting here talking about it this second. Coaching. We got out coached that second half like no other. So that's one reason. There are many reasons why we lost that game, but I think I agree with, I have to say, Morrison, I personally agree with majority of our fan base on Vol Society. I think coaching was just unacceptable that second half. It truly was. I'm really ashamed of it.
No, I agree. I mean, even look at it from the defensive side. We were doing a great job stopping Jalen Milroe, and then he just went off in the second half. And that's been a constant theme since this Heupel staff has come here, mainly on the defensive side, is like at times we do a great job blitzing and shutting down the quarterback or shutting down the running game, and then we go away from it, or we don't even go after the quarterback throughout the whole game. And once again, I just don't get that. I mean, you got the best defensive line in the nation. You have the best defensive line coach in Ronnie Gardner.
Yeah.
You got a very underrated linebacking core that's missing arguably its best player in Keenan Peely. Well, next to Aaron Beasley. But they're developing players. The secondary is improving. And I just don't get why you just break away from that scheme. That's their strength, is going after the quarterback, going after them running backs, playing that John Chavis style football from when John Chavis was relevant for the first four years there.
Right.
But and that to me, it's just baffling too on that. It's just we let Milroe take over in that second half. And yes, and I'll say this about Alabama, Bama is improving. They're doing better. But but the thing is, I just don't see them being a dominant team that can win a national championship. I've been wrong before with Nick Saban. But
one thing we've always learned is never bet against Nick Saban, man. That guy, there's something about him. I don't know if he sold his soul to the devil or what he did, but it's true. Never. But I agree with you, Morrison. I don't see this team. I see this team as a team we should have beat Saturday. And I predicted us to beat Alabama, and by gosh, we should have beat them. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. There is no doubt we were a better team. We shot them down the first half. I blame this on coaching, number one. Let's go to another topic. And the Bama fans, if they're listening, they're going to come back and troll us. I don't care. They've been trolling us. By the way, they've been trolling us like crazy on our Facebook page. Whatever. It happens. And you're going to hear it from me first. I'm not saying we lost the game simply because of this. So you trollers out there that want to get on Facebook, you can't say I said that because I didn't. But what I am going to say is, if you don't think it's not noticeable, then you don't know the game of football. That's some bad officiating Saturday, Morrison. Agree or disagree?
I agree.
And it is,
Yeah.
hey, the best word I know how to use is it's fishy. There were some fishy calls, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know who's worse, Ken Williamson or Matt Loeffler. They're both 1 and 1A, but I digress. The really SEC officiating is.
Here's what I'm going to say before you get into this, Morrison, and I want to hear your take on the officiating.
Mm-hmm.
As I just said, no, we didn't lose the game because of, obviously a call or two or whatnot. However, what I will say is the calls that were made and weren't made were pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
Pivotal in Alabama's comeback and the momentum change. I am telling you that. I could be a Tennessee fan. I could not be a Tennessee fan. I would call it as a neutral fan and tell you that is a true statement, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And the best scenario I can give you is that second half, that touchdown they scored, and within 30 seconds of the second half, that long, deep bomb touchdown play. We've seen it all the pictures online. I mean, how do they not call that play where he was being, our defense, who was it? Was it a line or a defensive endman came around and was getting chokehold?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't call it? You don't call it and the ref's right there? Get out of here.
That
momentum change right there.
Yeah, definitely. So the other one I was very frustrated with and was the
don't get me going. You talking about the kickoff?
Yep.
Buddy, if that's not also a momentum change, that's the most atrocious thing. Hey, go back, watch it. I don't care if you're Bama and you're saying we're crying. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't have to be a Tennessee fan to state the obvious. Go back and watch. Even the announcers were like, "What? This was a horrid call."
Yeah. I mean, for the last 5 years, Brad, we have been hearing about cutting down on CTE, on kickoff returns and punt returns.
Yeah.
And they changed the rule in college football where anytime that you signal for a fair catch, if you don't get past the 25-yard line, you automatically start at the 25.
Bingo.
And whether or not D. Williams didn't mean to call for a fair catch or not, it should have been the 25. Yes. Now, Cam Seldon would have ran it down the sideline and picked up 50 yards or took to the house, and they said, no, he called for a fair catch. Then, yeah, I would probably, it would have been a bad call either way, but still, why back it up at the 4? They changed the rule because of head injuries, for concussions, for CTE. I mean, either put it in the rule book or take it out. You can't just say the 1 week, oh, yeah, it's at the 25, and the next week, oh, no, it's not there. That made no sense to me. That's the one that really got me going.
Morrison, it's unacceptable.
Exactly.
It's unacceptable, my friend. And, if it happened to Bama, I'd say the same thing. I'd be like, God, we got lucky there. That was a terrible call. I mean, guys, enough with the trolling. Call it like it is. It was terrible officiating. Yeah. It was terrible.
Oh, I know.
People need to realize that momentum is a huge factor in college football, in any sport, really.
Yeah.
And when you have it was just so funny that these calls were being made at pivotal points of the game. I got to tell you, Morrison, it was quite disturbing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then the Elijah Herring delay a game when he's trying to fire the team up and
unbelievable. This guy was just literally clapping and getting his team pumped up, and I mean, what is happening?
It wasn't a synchronized clap.
No, it was not. Snap. It was again, guys, I'm speechless. I'm frustrated. I'm very upset. And again, I'm not crying or whining because we lost. Hey, we lose to Bama, fine. It's how we lost.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
So we have coaching, we have refs. Any other answers for why we lost that game, Morrison, that I'm not thinking of?
I mean, I think we clearly said everything. I mean, I think it's more on the coaching than the officiating, but
Oh, it
officiating was a
was.
part of it. But
Officiating came at key pivotal moments, but we lost the
yeah,
game as a whole because of our coaching. It's just a sorry excuse. Second half game plan. I'm sorry, it was.
I mean, this is the second loss we've had this year, and both those losses should have been wins.
No question.
I mean, we
No question.
silver lining is we played better at Alabama than we did against Florida.
Right.
But still, you cannot give up. You can't let the other team just score 24 unanswered points or whatever. And both our biggest rivals have done that.
Yeah. Awful. I just don't know what we're thinking in the second half. Something I'm at a loss, and I'll tell you this. I'm going to give you a third reason we lost. Even though I think we should have beat, yes, Florida and Alabama, I really think we should have. I just, for those first two things we mentioned, are big key indicators of why we lost the game. But I'm starting to come to the realization of something, Morrison, and I want to talk to you about. I didn't want to believe this, but I think it's just more and more evident as we keep going on through the season. And I think it's hard to even say, but I tell you, buddy, I think we're just a mediocre team this year. And I think we all had high hopes, and there was a lot of hype about this team this year in the offseason and all that. But, the truth is, between the coaching, I don't know if it's a Joey Housel thing. I will say this, boy, I miss Alex Golish. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's all I'll say about that. But between the coaching and just the players that we have back, I love them to death, but I got to tell you, buddy, we're struggling at wide receiver position. I don't think anyone's really, except for Squirrel White. I have been so disappointed in our guys. Dante with another drop Saturday. I mean, it's sad. And
they didn't target him the rest of the game after that.
No, of course not. And then I'm just going to be real, man. Joe Milton, love him as a guy. I really had high expectations for this guy, and there's been times where he's on and he looks good and he does enough to get the job done. But at the end of the day, we're looking at a mediocre team this year, and I hate to say that. And and I just don't think, even at Joe, let's put it this way, what fans are saying? A lot of fans are saying, this isn't on Joe this game. Joe had one of his best nights ever. You know what? I'd probably agree with that statement. He probably did have one of his best nights, stats-wise.
278 yards passing.
But you know what's crazy, man? And I know this is going to sound mean of me, but I'm just calling it like it is. Even at Joe's best, let's call it Saturday night, because that's what everyone's saying. Even at his best, his best is just not enough to get us big wins. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to diss the guy, but what I'm saying is, when you compare it to other quarterbacks in the league, and I'll just compare it to Joe Milton of last year, at Joe Milton's best, we're winning those big games, which we did. Mm-hmm. And I'm not putting this game solely on Joe. I don't want you to think that, but he is the leader. He says he is, anyways, of our team. And that's just the nature of the job. It comes with the territory. He's our quarterback. I'm coming to the realization that, we're a mediocre team. Joe Milton is just, he's mediocre. He's not going to ever come out there and just put on a show for 4 quarters. I don't know if it's just in his head. The pressure gets to him. And then in terms of the coaches this year, Joey Housel in particular, I don't know why we're switching things up and running plays that we shouldn't be running. I don't know why on 4th down we're in a shotgun. There's so many things that are happening, and I don't know why our wide receivers are not well equipped this year to be making plays when they should be. So I think that's my last reason that we lost the game. You put all those 3 together, you're not going to be elite teams. You're just not.
No,
So,
not at all.
and it's sad. I hate saying it, man. I hate saying it. I really do.
I mean, going back a couple of weeks ago on the podcast in Vol Society, right after that Texas A&M game, I said they're the definition of two equal teams, except one coach is on the hot seat and they're 4-3 and we're 5-2.
Right.
But you could easily kind of be in a similar situation as a Texas A&M or maybe one of the mid-tier SEC West teams.
You're right.
That hasn't won an SEC game.
You're right. You're right.
I'll spin it more positively. I do believe in Josh Heupel. I think he can get this thing turned around. I mean, he's done a fine job. I do see your point with Joey Hazel and missing Alex Golish. But
Josh Heupel's the guy.
Yeah,
Josh.
Okay.
If anybody's going to be able to do it, and I don't want that to be the takeaway.
Right.
We're calling Saturday night like it was. It was.
Oh yeah.
We got out coached, and I'm going to tell you, hey, I'm not saying anything that Josh Heupel didn't say himself.
Right.
They got out coached. He knows he did. Mm-hmm. But Josh Heupel's a great guy. He's a good coach. We all know it. Mm-hmm. But I am questioning a little bit of the OC a little bit. No, no offense, but there's quite a difference in some of the plays that I'm seeing this year versus what Alex Golish had in his playbook that I'm questioning. But time will tell.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's why South Florida went after Alex Golish as their head coach. Because I mean, and I don't blame them. And I don't blame. I mean, that's the nature of success. Everybody wants you.
That's right.
They want a piece of what's hot right now. And
of course they do.
Last year's offense was hot.
Well, we knew that was going to happen. We knew Alex after that year last year, he wasn't going to be around much longer. We just knew that. Money talks, and all the best to him. But so we're already at half an hour, Morrison. So let's. Is there anything else that you want to highlight about this game Saturday? I think it's been a great discussion. I really enjoyed breaking this down. But is there anything else you want to say before we move on to our final segment?
About the Alabama game?
Yeah, about Bama.
No, I'm just we just got to put this game in the rearview mirror. We got a lot of football to come, and we're about to talk about this game on Saturday. So
yeah. I agree.
Let's not let this game ruin our momentum. Kind of the similar situation with Florida. We got on a good roll, picked up a couple of nice SEC wins along the way, and we still got a lot of football to go, and still can have a great season now.
No, absolutely, but it's not going to be easy.
I agree.
The third thing I just said about this team is I've realized we're now a mediocre team, and with that statement comes a difficult remaining season. These teams we're playing coming up, being a mediocre team, or depending on which team shows up, man, we're going to have a hard time. However, you're right, Morrison. We can still have a good year, but it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. And we're about to see what these guys are made of. But you're right. If we win out the rest of the year, I mean, we'll make a really good bowl, and all that good stuff, which will be fine and great, and I'll be happy. But let's not mistake, this. This is going to be a difficult. Every game coming up is going to be pretty dang difficult, except for maybe Connecticut. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyways, I just want people to understand that. All right, let's go to our final segment, and then we'll call it a night, guys. We're going to do our final segment here real quick. The thoughts on the Kentucky game real quick. I don't have too much to say about it. I will say this. From what I understand, I looked earlier today, and correct me if I'm wrong, Morrison, but I think the line right now, they've got us at Tennessee is a 3.5 favor over Kentucky. Is that right?
That's correct.
Very, very close. And I'll tell you what. But I see why. I see why.
Yeah.
Because we're just doing some crazy stuff. I don't have the answer. We just tried to come up with answers, and I don't know what's going on. But that's probably, I would probably agree with that 3.5 favor.
No, I think that's about favorable. I mean, both teams come into it 5-2 on the year.
Yeah.
to an SEC play. I mean, this is a crucial game for both programs at this point. Um, you know, the one stat that I did pull out looking at individual players, Devin Leary that we're going to see on Saturday,
Yeah.
came in from NC State, a pretty decent quarterback. His completion percentage is a lot lower than Joe Milton's. I mean,
Is it?
he's
What is
yeah,
it?
54.4% compared to
Interesting.
Milton's 62.8.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of a silver lining in that. I mean, of course, Kentucky they brought back their old offensive coordinator a couple of years ago when they were playing lights out offensively. Will Levis was actually decent, and they had Chris Rodriguez and Kavaria Smoke, and then he left, went to the NFL. And now he's back with Devin Leary, and Leary's, like I said, his completion percentage is what's hurting him, but putting up pretty good numbers. They're averaging 31 points a game. Ray Davis, the former Vanderbilt running back, is having a good year for them.
Yeah.
He had that 280 yards game, rushing game against Florida this year. He's at 781 right now, 8 touchdowns,
Impressive.
averaging 7 yards a carry.
Yep.
So I think if the thing is for me, kind of being optimistic on this one, I think if we can find a way to shut down Ray Davis, then I think we can handle Devin Leary afterwards. So,
well, you know what I'm worried about, Morrison?
what's that?
We're playing at Kentucky. You know why I'm worried about that?
So,
Statistics show so far, anyways, we're not a good away team, buddy. We've been a great home team.
Yeah.
Go look at the stats. Mm-hmm. When we play at home, it's been fantastic. Great job. But so far, under the Heupel era, we have not been known to play great ball 4 quarters. And say what you will, but this Kentucky team is not a bad team.
No.
So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence, and I mean, this game could go either way Saturday, and I hate to say that, but I'm certainly worried about it. I'm certainly worried about it. So I guess my question is, Morrison, before we get off tonight, what are your thoughts, man? Do we win this game? Do we lose this game?
I think this is going to be a back and forth battle on Saturday. It seems like the last 2 or 3 times we've been to Lexington, we've kind of get into these scrap fights with them. But I think with our experience, and I think our team can be motivated. I think Josh Heupel will get this team motivated. I think Tennessee goes to Lexington and wins it 34-28 over Kentucky. I think they find a way to bring pressure to Devin Leary. I think if you can keep Ray Davis, if Ray Davis goes over 100 yards, I think you could be in trouble. But if he gets right at 100 or even under, then I think you're in for a good shot. And I think you can see some expired play on this. But I think it's going to be kind of a rock fight for most of the game.
Gosh, man. I mean, you have Tennessee winning by less than a touchdown. That's a close game. Right? What do you have? 6 points, right? Is that right? Did I do the math right?
34-28.
Yeah, 34-28, yeah. So, God. Man, I don't even know. The way this team has been playing week in, week out, and how our coaches have been coaching, I am just at a loss, Morrison. I don't know which team's going to show up. You would like to think after a beatdown that Bama put on us the second half that we're going to come out and have fire in us. You would like to think that this Saturday. You would like to think that. And I will say only because of that reason right there, we got embarrassed that second half of that game. We got embarrassed. I have to think that Heupel was embarrassed, that Joey Housel was embarrassed, that Milton, all the players, offense, defense, they were embarrassed by that second half performance. I have to think they're going to crank it up this week in practice. They're going to be motivated and come out and get the win Saturday. I have to think that. But you're right. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to go. Let me ask you this. Haven't kept up with Kentucky too much this year. What's their scoring been like this year on average?
They are equal with us. They're at 31 a game.
They're about 31?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the best team they played this year?
They had that big blowout win against Florida at home. But then
what was the score of that game?
Let me go back and look that up here.
That is right. They played Florida.
And then they got dominated by Georgia. All right, so I got Kentucky.
Give me the Florida and Georgia scores, and then I'll give you a prediction.
All right, so they on September 30th, Kentucky beat Florida at home 33-14. The next week,
and we get beat by Florida. My God. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then the next week on October the 7th, Georgia beat them 51-13. And then they lost to Missouri on the 14th, 38-21, and they just they're coming off their bye week to play us.
Yeah, we'll talk about Missouri later, but hey, be on the lookout for that team, buddy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That team is no joke. All right. Wow. College football is insane this year. It makes zero sense to me. Okay. I'm gonna go Tennessee. I'm going to go Tennessee 38, Kentucky 24.
38-24.
That's what I'm going to go with. I just have to think they're going to be fired up after getting embarrassed. I mean, that loss, hey, as a former player, man, that not at Tennessee, but in high school, in case you're wondering. But still, as a former football player, man, I'm telling you, that loss, that had to hurt these guys. God, it just had to kill them. I mean, it was terrible the second half.
Yeah.
I have to think they're going to just rebound and be pumped up and ready to rock, and they're going to get it right.
Yeah.
So,
and I was looking at past games since Mark Stoops has been there. Mark Stoops is 2-8 against Tennessee. So we have been his Achilles heel since his entire tenure.
That's right. That's right.
So.
No, you're right.
I mean, we'll see what happens on that.
That's right. We've been an Aaron Rodgers to that man, huh? He's not young. Little joke, terrible joke, but at least I think it's what Aaron Rodgers tore, wasn't it? His Achilles. Yeah. Okay. Whew. At least I got the joke right. All right. So. Write it down, Morris, and I'll forget it. I said 38-24.
38-24.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I think it's close early. Okay. Maybe even close up till halftime, but I think that second half, we come out and just kind of pull away with it somehow or another. I don't know what happens, but I just think I just think after that total beatdown in the second half that they're going to go all out and they're going to make sure that they don't get a loss this time. So I think they really, really bring out the playbook and open it up a little bit to assure a win. So, all right, 38-24. And you said, give me yours one more time.
34-28.
All right, very good. All right, cool. Let's keep our fingers crossed. And again, we're all Vols, baby, win or lose. But let's Let's try to get a win and be optimistic this week, all right?
Yep. We got Tennessee, Kentucky, 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN Saturday. Be Mike Monaco, Jesse Palmer, and Katie George on the call Saturday night.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. Morrison, great show, buddy. It's nice, it's just me and you holding it down tonight. David Dees, we hope to have you back next week. He's off tonight, but I thought we did a good job. So good job, Morrison. I appreciate that, buddy.
No problem.
Well, listen, that's going to do it for us tonight. Be sure to join David Morrison Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on our Facebook page, Vol Society. That's VOL Society for Vol Society Live. Had a great turnout last week. We had a phenomenal turnout last week. That show went, Morrison, did that show go an hour and a half last week?
Just about. I think it was like an hour and 25 minutes.
Unbelievable. And it could have gone on longer.
Oh, yeah. I was getting hoarse.
We had fans from all over asking questions and leaving comments, and Morrison will read them all. So it's your time to shine. So please join us tomorrow, 8 p.m. on our Facebook page. When I say tomorrow, we record this on a Monday, so it'll actually be
the night you hear
podcast. The day you hear it. Because
the
podcast goes live on Tuesday. So be sure to join in Tuesday, 8 p.m. It'll be another great show. Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it from us. From all of us here at Good Old Rocky Talk. Good night. Go Vols. And beat the Wildcats.